everybody.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
I'm Cindy.
I'm Paige.
And this is Mom's the Word, where Mom knows best.
Or at least she's trying her best.
And we're so excited because we're kind of celebrating Mother's Day
Happy
this
Mother's
month.
Day, you guys.
Happy Mother's Day. And we're really excited because we have a guest.
It's a very special guest to me.
Yes.
The woman that I would consider my mom. This is my mom, Julie.
Hey, Julie.
Hello, everyone. Kind of nervous, but I'm happy to be here with you.
We're so excited. Have our moms here.
You are nervous, I
am
can tell. I did not let her read any of the questions that Cindy had or know what we're going to talk about in general. We're just going to talk freely. Whatever
Yes.
comes out, and y'all will see why I cry so much, because she would probably cry.
Yep. So, you're a mom. So how many kids do you have?
I have 4 kids total.
4 kids. And what age did you become a mom?
Oh, that's a good 21.
21.
21.
And that was to Miss Paige.
Miss Paige, yeah. I was 21 years old. I was just a baby, too.
Yeah,
When I
crazy.
got my baby, my first baby.
When I think about that now as a 32-year-old, that blows my mind. Because to me, you were an adult. You were just an adult. And I can remember thinking, like, I'm going to be married by 23 and have my nursing license, have all my stuff. My mom did it. So that's just, as an adult now, 21 is still such a baby to me.
Yeah.
And you
21 is a baby. As
Yeah.
I've raised children, 21 is a baby.
I would agree, because that's like Haley.
Just like Haley, having her hands full.
Having her hands
Yes.
full. And that blows my mind.
Yeah.
She's juggling college and doing all the things, and then somebody brings a baby. Here,
Yeah.
hello. Here you go.
Here you go. Here's the
And
gift.
how old were you?
4.
4.
Oh, yeah. So a toddler.
A toddler,
I
yeah.
bet, yeah.
I'd met John, Paige's dad, and her in the fall. And I'd known of John for probably a couple of years at that point. But I met John and Paige in the fall. So she would have been 3. She turned 4 in January. John and I moved in together a couple months after that, like maybe in May. And then I got a phone call that said, "Hey, can you watch the baby for a couple of days?" And I said, "Of course."
Oh, wow.
And then
I never left.
And she never left.
I love that.
Y'all had like a 1-bedroom apartment.
Yes, when I
Slept
John
on
and
the
I-
couch.
When we moved in together, I'd moved out of my daddy's house. Those were weird years for me. My mom died when I was 19, so between 19 and 21, I was just kind of lost myself.
Uh-huh. Oh.
It's okay. It's okay. They were weird years for you.
Yeah.
And then found John
Yeah.
and my purpose.
Yeah. It's crazy because you felt lost and then you found Paige, and Paige was also a lost baby.
Yeah.
And that is amazing because now you guys found each other, and now it's been, Paige is now 30 years old. Y'all see where the emotions come from, right? They're both crying. So you needed to find each other, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Yes.
sure.
And so let's see. I was in college full time. I was in nursing school, and I was working full time as a waitress bartender at Applebee's, which was fun times.
I would just eat all of the
Olives,
garnishes.
oranges, cherries.
Oh my
We
God.
would refill them over and over, but because her and her dad would hang out there while I was working.
Yeah.
And got through nursing school. We were in a 1-bedroom apartment for 6 months. We'd signed a 6-month lease. And then from there, we got a 2-bedroom apartment. And we were still kind of in Sherman. And then all of a sudden, oh my gosh, my baby's about to start kindergarten. Like, what does that look like for
Yeah.
me? So we had to do some catching up on immunizations and paperwork and things to get her ready, because that was kind of scattered, for lack of better words.
I didn't have any immunizations at that point.
You'd had one.
So going into...
You'd had one at 6 weeks. She'd had her 6-week immunization.
wow.
But at 4, she'd had no other
Yeah.
shots.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so
I remember it.
Did they do all of them at one time?
No, they
just sort of-
sprinkled
like
them
over a
like-
summer.
Yeah, they sprinkled them out over as she could have them.
Did she have appointments, or y'all just took her in and that was
Well,
her
I think
appointment?
We
the health
we went to the health
department.
department. I took her to the health
Yeah.
department. I mean, she didn't have a pediatrician. I didn't know,
Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
I called all the local pediatricians and all the local health departments to see if she had records anywhere. But it's crazy to me because I needed a social security number for her, which I didn't have. So at that time, I was still Julie Webb. And so Julie Webb took Paige Game and
Yeah.
to the social security department. And they wrote her it's just crazy the way I was able to get information that you couldn't now.
No, they just gave it to
They
you.
just gave it to me.
Before they were married.
And
Also,
then I was.
they were
This was
not
in the
married.
90s. They were like,
Yeah, here you go.
you're taking care of her now.
Oh, you okay? You got this. So, yeah, and then
I
we
think
got
at that
everything.
point, Dad says, I had never had vaccines. I could not count to 10. I couldn't say my ABCs. Like, I was very delayed, and it was apparent, but not until I was full-time there.
Full time with us. Oh yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And you caught up quick. You're a smart girl. You caught up quick. I mean, they're
Well,
really
all you needed is a nurturing environment.
Yeah,
She's going to catch up
absolutely,
really
yeah.
quickly.
And all I knew was that little girls take dance lessons, and little girls wear hair bows, and little girls wear dresses. And so
Yeah.
my sister jumped on that bandwagon with me and would buy bows and dresses and promptly
They
put her
still
in.
talk about this. They still talk about it. My Aunt Denise took me, maybe Walmart. Back then, were y'all buying bows at Walmart?
Kmart or
And,
something.
my Aunt Denise said, okay, pick a bow. Which one do you want? And I stood there kind of like confused. And she said, which one do you want? And I said, I've never had a hair bow before. And she said, okay, we're getting them all. She bought all of them. So, yeah. And then another Aunt Bibi and Tina, they always talk about how bobbing for apples was a big deal back in the 90s.
Oh, yeah,
That
for
was
sure. All the
big.
birthday parties.
And I wouldn't do it because I didn't want to get my bow wet.
Oh, my God. You got to experience all those little girl things.
Yes. And then all of a sudden I was a clogger.
Yes, then dance. Put her in dance classes. You did it all. You did jazz, tap, clogging, gymnastics.
Got to meet Reba McEntire.
Oh my God. So she just came into your life and you took it full running.
Absolutely.
Like you just put her into
This
things.
child deserves all love.
She did, yeah. So was that hard transition for you, or you loved it?
Absolutely. Loved it. No, it's not hard at all. It was just all of a sudden she was where she was supposed to be.
Yeah.
I mean, like
Yeah.
the thought of her not being with us scared me. Like,
Oh, yeah.
and I worried in the back of my mind, and like, can I say that? That her mom would show up
Yeah.
and take her,
Yeah, absolutely.
and I wouldn't know where she went.
yeah.
There were people in her life, though, that were scared of that too. That even told us, I know told Dad, I was scared that if I left her there, she would sell her.
Oh my goodness.
That was probably 2 or so, that age gap. So I think when John pretty much had her full time,
Yeah.
by the time that he and I met,
Uh-huh.
and they were living in Pottsboro. I think what's her name was popping in and out of her life, and
Yes, yeah.
like random stuff,
3
just to
months here,
rattle
6
her,
months
yeah,
here.
just to,
Which is so
rattle her.
heartbreaking at that
It's
age.
so-
At any age, but when a toddler like sees their mom and then doesn't see them, that's heartbreaking because you're like, who is going to be this motherly figure for me? And
And
that's
the
that's
promise that they're
devastating.
coming back.
Yes, and promise they're coming back.
It was always
Yeah. And then
And
having
because-
you come, I bet he was even more like for Paige, even afraid, like, well, is she going to leave me too? Because my mom leaves me. But you
ever worry
stayed
about that?
always.
As an adult, when you and my dad divorced.
Yeah. I remember saying that.
When you and Dad divorced, I
you said it to
too
me.
intoxicated one night.
you said
Broke
it to
down. It was like, I'm his daughter at the end of the day, and she's you're my daughter. So and it's never left. I mean,
I'm not going anywhere.
would still be God forbid I ever go to jail. Pick up your phone. Would still be that call. So
I
Yeah.
thought for you today.
I think it's a really nice perspective because like people ask me like when kids come into your life, you just mother them. Like you love them, all of them. And that's something that at 21 years old, this baby came into your life and you're like, no, this is my baby now.
my baby.
I'm taking care of this
especially as
baby.
a broken 21-year-old.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
losing your mom is devastating, but to
Yes.
lose your mom so young and suddenly, it was not expected.
Yeah.
So suddenly, I mean, at that age, to be just ripened as an adult, right?
Yes.
So then you can make
Yes.
big adult decisions.
I was
do
ju-
big
yes.
adult things and be big angry.
Being the baby of the family, big angry. Being the baby of the family, I had never really had to make, or be in charge or do anything. So it was it got things line up and we found each other.
Yeah.
And I always, people say, like, does she call you mom?
Yeah.
When she wants to.
Yeah.
Like when it comes off her tongue and she says it, but I never wanted to take that from her.
Right.
I would have been upset if anybody my dad remarried eventually, that have said at the time, like, this is your new mom. No. And
Right.
so I'm like,
Right.
I would never want somebody to tell me to call somebody new mom. And I never wanted me to think that I was discounting her mom.
Yeah.
And you didn't at all. She never pushed me to do that, ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
My first dance mom shirts actually said Paige's Julie.
Yes.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
And she'll even still say that. She's like, well, my Julie.
My Julie.
Uh-huh. But you also do refer to her as my mom.
Yeah.
Just like quickly.
It confuses people. It does confuse people, and I'll have to clarify. And I hate saying, oh, my stepmom, because she's not my stepmom. But you also, one of the things that I carried over from learning from you as a mom is the bonus baby aspect. I've never called my children stepchildren because
Right.
I was also never called a stepchild. She would just say, these are my children.
Right.
And I can remember, like, even if they would have family pictures done and I wasn't there, I'd be like, I'm still part of the family. Wait, like, I'm still here.
Yes.
So we do big, we make sure because of what you put in place whenever I was a kid. And I like to think the reason that I am a bonus mom the way that I am is because of the example that I had as a child.
Absolutely.
I think you do a great job as a bonus mom.
Yeah.
And
You did too. And I know that your relationship with my mother was not the same as mine is with Azita, obviously. Me and Azita have a very good relationship. We talk just naturally, let alone about parenting things. My mom was not there to even bond with.
no.
So that wasn't really a thing that was your
It was
responsibility.
high intensity drama when she was there. So
I was going to ask that, like, how did you navigate that? Because you want to protect her.
I want to protect her.
And she's still coming in, still her mother.
When she dropped her off that June day in '96, she didn't come back for a year.
Oh, my goodness.
So our first dose, and that was, so Paige would have turned 5 in January, and then this is the time frame when she showed back up as the time frame that Paige is getting all her immunizations. We're doing all the things to get ready to start kindergarten.
Yeah.
Make sure she's ready. Make sure she can count to 10, and just give her space. By that time we had moved into a house, and so she had her own room. She got a puppy. She had her own bed. She had her own drawers. She had her.
She was doing
space.
well.
Yes.
Esmeralda bed. Yes. I was Hunchback of Notre Dame. That was a big one for me. I was
We
learning to
moved
tie my
into-
shoes. I remember that. Learning to tie my shoes
And
on
ride
that
the bike.
counter.
And she would just show up.
You were in nursing school still because you would just have books across the dining room table, just studying books. And I can remember thinking, I can't wait to study.
Those are crazy times. I mean, it just even like now, link back, it's just a blink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really big.
And
So,
yeah, she would just show up.
yeah, I was going to say, so she would just show up.
Biological mother would reach out to her dad and say, and there would probably be a couple weeks where it would go by like, okay, I'm coming on Friday, or I'm coming on Friday. And, and there were times that, and I know legally now having, doing this, that you can send a responsible adult to, like, I could send my husband to pick up my littlest, my
Right.
current husband. But like, there would be like a random strange man that would show up, and John would say, "No,
I'm not sending my
I'm not. I
5-year-old.
don't know you,
Yeah.
and I'm not sending my 5-year-old or 6-year-old,
Yeah.
or whatever, 4-year-old, or whatever at the time with some." But
Some man I've never
yeah, I've
met.
never met. Oh, you're her boyfriend?
No.
Sorry. Sorry.
She hasn't been here a year, and you send somebody I don't know? Absolutely not.
Right? Imagine now, think now in today's day and age, if you're, split with your partner and somebody you've never met before comes and is
No.
like, I'm here to pick up Bear.
No.
No, you're not. That's very funny of you.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
And that's pretty much kind of what
What it
John
was.
said in a probably more intimidating
Yes.
way.
Yes.
And that's like frustrating because then like, maybe she took it as like, well, see, you don't want me to see my child.
Your dad's keeping you.
Yeah, your dad's
that's what
keeping
I
you.
would be told.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your dad's
no.
And then if I was told, usually they wouldn't tell me that she was coming because a lot of the
yeah.
time she wouldn't
Oh,
show
yeah.
up, and then it would be a whole thing because my dad will recall like Julie did a really good job of so my dad says that like you would do a really good job of distracting me into the evening times because even as a young kid I can remember being told that they were going to show up and sitting outside waiting, like watching at the street, waiting.
Reading
And
a
then-
book.
Reading my AR books, yes. And then it'd be like, we're going to Brahms. Let's go get ice cream.
Okay.
Okay, cool. And then I would just get ice cream, and then they'd be, hey, you're going to stay with us tonight. I'm like, oh, okay. But it wouldn't be as hard as like, come inside. You're going to have to just go to
Yeah,
sleep.
yeah.
So we did a lot of that. A lot of, as she would say, you don't know that they're coming until you see the whites of their eyes. Don't think that they're coming.
Don't count on it.
That's heartbreaking though.
Yeah, those were hard years. It's for her, and I would always say like it was stressful to me because Like I knew what she had on that day and what pajamas she slept in that night, what color her everything, like which bow I put in her hair. And then how can you go weeks and weeks and weeks and not know what she had for lunch? I mean, I packed her lunch. I know what snacks she had. I know she's got dance at 6. I know she's doing a duet with
somebody.
Whoever, and where she has to be at gymnastics at. Like, how do you not know that? This is your child.
How do you not want to?
How do you not want to know that?
Because it wasn't even just not showing up. There was no phone calls. There was no birthday calls. There was no nothing. I mean, it was just radio silence.
Yeah.
I think that's the big difference now as an adult, thinking about I was kept from you factor.
Yes.
I would just, I mean,
We had the same address and the same.
There's no way you're keeping my child from me.
I've told Mark that. I said you would have to physically have me
Yes,
removed
there's no
from the street
way.
And she could have shown up on our porch
at any time.
at any time, no matter if she owed or didn't owe,
Yep.
because she would use that too.
Yeah, it was always about child support.
Yeah, and which, whatever. But we couldn't keep her. Oh, you owe us $500. No, you can't see your kid. We can't do that.
Yeah,
I mean, just
right.
show up.
Yeah. And that's heartbreaking for you to see too. Like, well, she said she's going to come, but she's probably not. Cause I've gone through that as a foster parent. Someone's going to show up and they don't come and you have to pick up those pieces.
Yeah.
And it is heartbreaking for her, but you seeing it as a motherly figure, as her mom, is heartbreaking. Cause you're like, I can't do anything to fix this hole in your heart. I can't. I'm never going to replace that person that you want to see every single time. And that's hard to do.
And I can love you as much.
As much as I can.
I can be all the mom that I can be, but I'll never.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was hard. I think that was hard because I teeter a line of knowing who my mom is and having this relationship, but for years, not having a separate compartment for Julie that was like, oh, I love her and this is my mom, but having that hole still. That was very, very obvious, very apparent. And I think from a really young age was really apparent even to teachers and people around me.
And when that hurricane would blow into town, I mean, they would be great times. They would go
fun.
to this place or go see this person
Glamour
or
shots.
Yeah, and then so
and
back
we'll
at
see my
Disneyland.
sisters.
We'll go to Disneyland.
Yeah.
But in the same breath, we did the best we could as far as keeping her with her sisters. Her maternal grandmother and I had a relationship.
Oh, that's
and so when Jenny was able to get the 2 older girls, she would reach out to me, and so I would,
awesome.
get them,
Yeah.
and so she could have all 3 of the girls. And then later it evolved to taking Paige and her little brother and her sister because she
Yes.
wanted.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yes.
She wanted to.
My Lita was my every other weekend visit for quite some time. She would come and she would drive even 2 hours.
Yeah, even
to
if
me.
it was once a month, at least she was showing up. I mean, and we would meet her at the McKinney Hospital, and the kids would play on the helipad while we were doing the exchange, and so it was good. And because Jenny lived in Louisville,
Yeah.
I see a lot of that. That's always putting kids first, and that's how you can tell that there are good women who do put children first in a chaotic environment because it is hard to do. It's hard to meet up. It's hard to schedule it, and for you guys to put that aside and be like, no, these kids need to see each other still.
Yes.
Even though she could show up there too. That's terrifying. But
There's obviously a lot of speculation around the mindset of my biological mother during that time, and I just want you to. She was not on drugs.
people would ask, well, is she on? Because that would be
I guess I would assume
easy
that.
excuse.
Yeah.
Right?
A lot of
Why do you
people
check
would.
out? She's, for lack of better words, was just very selfish, just very selfish. I mean, it was really a one way. It was what was in her best interest instead of what were even. I mean, Paige had a home. Paige had a mom
Yes.
and a dad.
yes.
Her sisters, I mean,
Didn't.
they always worried about them. And
Yeah. And even to this day, now, as Paige is an adult, there has still been heartbreak through her adulthood.
Yeah.
That has even affected you. Because this has continued her whole life.
her whole life.
So, has that been even more hard now? Paige hits these huge milestones, and you're still the mom who shows up. Yeah. And to me, that's heartbreaking for something as easy as an apology would be, it won't come.
I don't know why.
I don't think the adult milestones have been difficult because it wasn't for lack of trying that she wasn't there. It was just always on her terms. Wanted to be in the room whenever I had Boston. But my doctor knew I didn't really want anybody else in the room but me and Julie and my husband.
Yeah.
And I like to say now out loud, it's not my fault that I bonded to
not at
another person. That when she pets me like this, I want to come out of my skin because I don't feel comforted by that touch. That's not normal. But when Julie comes over and hey, it's okay. That's been my whole life. That's been that is what calmed me down over and over and over and over again. So of course that's going to be easier. Julie buttoned the back of my wedding dress.
Yeah.
Julie cut the cord whenever I had Juliet. You know, I mean, she is my mom, but there were just so many. I tried to fit them both into the space for so long. And Julie has never been malicious or mean or cold to her in any way, has always given her the you go ahead, you first. And it was kind of like, if I'm not the only one, I'm not doing it.
Which isn't fair.
Right. It's not fair to me or to Julie, who's raised me and has had me since I was a little girl, has seen my harder years, to be fair. So there's some harder years in
high
that.
school years.
Well, you know, the rebellion was thick with this. But
We survived it.
Did y'all expect anything less?
No, we survived it.
But also wasn't your responsibility to make her feelings feel valid when she never validated yours your whole life.
Right.
Like, that's not fair for her to put on you as an adult. Like, I should be first because I'm here now. Absolutely not. You weren't here all those times that I needed you.
I think that it would be different if there wasn't just such clear animosity on the other side of just like jealousy. And it's just like, how can you dislike her? How could you dislike somebody that raised your baby?
Right.
That helped like, if she wasn't there, who was going to be there? You know? So like, how can you not just have so much, especially if you say, you want to be back in my life. You want to be, you know, part of everything, and you love me and you made this mistake and you hold so much accountability, but you still hold so much anger towards the woman that saved my life, frankly. Because who knows where I would have been? Who knows? I mean, I'll be real with y'all. Me and my dad butted heads hard in high school. Hard. Like, we could not be in a room together for more than a couple minutes without it turning into a fight. And I mean, it led to big fights whenever I was a teenager. So there would be times where I'd be mad at my dad, and Julie'd be like, "It's okay, breathe." I'm trying to corral
Sending
both.
him to the lake.
Calm down. So, I mean, it just that's the part that'll never make sense to me. How can you be so angry still?
Yeah.
But like something was done to her.
Right.
Like, she was the one done
victim
wrong.
all the time. It's you're the victim, and if I say, oh, well, it was just really difficult for me. Oh, get over it. You're not the only one. Well, I didn't put myself in that position.
No.
I suffered the consequences of somebody else's actions. And if you didn't want to be a mom, you should have never had me. So it can be it infuriates me now. I've reached the anger level. And I think I had, in my teenage years, I was angry. And at first I was angry at her. I think for like 14, 15, I was really angry at her. And then it kind of flipped to her and I, because I Googled a lot if I could find her. And then her and I would start to have conversations here and there. And she would say like, "Oh, honey, I've been waiting for this day. And, you know, I just love you so much. I knew you would reach out eventually. Your dad has kept me first." So then I was angry with my dad. And then me and my dad are different. We're different but the same. He has raised me to be stubborn and to never back down, but he didn't realize that we would have differing opinions, and that meant that we would both be stubborn and never back down about things that we're passionate about. So then whenever I became a teenager, we fought hard.
But you also had her in your ear, and she had a vehicle. So at 16, she has a car. So then now Paige can drive to her. She still has no ownership of coming, but she, you know, had got in her head, and then you can drive to me.
You're already fighting with your dad, so you're like, well, shoot, I'm going to go with my mom now. Yeah.
Keep in mind, I found out she lived less than 30 minutes away from us the entire time.
That's even worse.
So she had lived in this house that was a half hour away, and the entire time, and I'd lived in the same house. My grandmother, who was older, was driving an hour and a half to pick me up every other weekend, but she was half an hour away. Had the most beautiful
I will never
freaking home
understand
I'd ever seen, beautifully decorated. And there was a summer. Okay, so let's go to the part where I'd leave.
Okay, so April, May of your junior year, she walks in one day and hands me her car keys and her cell phone and says, "Don't call the police. I'm going to live with my mom." And I said, "Okay, honey, can I help you pack?" And so
She did. Anytime that I would, I'm leaving.
Okay, well, let's get your stuff together. And so she left dance recitals every year in May.
Yep.
And so she did her junior year. So still got one more year of high school. But she did her big farewell dance at the dance studio. She is, like doing her
Didn't choreograph a
goodbyes.
second of it.
Her
Winged
goodbye.
it.
And she
Winged it.
moved, I guess, 30
minutes
her stepdad came in, brought a truck, and we put her stuff in the back of this truck. And 6 weeks later, she called and said, "It's not home." I know can I come home? So by 4th of July, she was.
But y'all had to let her do that.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
You had to let her do
Well,
it.
and for sure, you need to see with your
Yeah.
you need to see your heart.
Yeah. And she was old enough then for her, if she's going to get heartbroken now, she's choosing to go there. It is her mother. So I totally understand that.
Yeah, she
That
was.
was hard too because there was not really any big blow up between me and my mom. She
Just
made me
wasn't
feel
home.
uncomfortable in a few situations, and we just. It was just like I was a roommate, kind of, and I was really young to be. I was not mentally a
Yeah.
16-year-old
Yeah.
at all, and I was very immature for my age. So I had just like so much trauma. I was looking to like for mommy,
Yeah.
and thought I was gonna just have like this undivided attention of somebody who just loves me unconditionally, and it wasn't that. It just wasn't. And I'd gotten a new car, and I was allowed to go places. My dad didn't let me go jack shit
More
nowhere.
freedom.
Nowhere. I mean, like our high school was 2 blocks away from a Sonic. And I pulled up to that Sonic one time to get a drink, and my dad called me and was like, "What are you doing at the Sonic? You're not supposed to be there." And I was grounded from my car for like a week.
You look back now and you're like, Dad was right.
He was right.
Now that you're a
Kinda.
16-year-old.
Kind
If
of.
Dad had parenting advice that came from right here. I mean, like he
But
may have
other
been.
than
He
that-
was like the enforcer.
Yeah. He was definitely the discipline, which led us. So I came back home. When did I leave?
You came back home by 4th of July. Hold on, I
Had to
said
have been
that again.
August because it was your birthday.
You that might have been you left in May, like right after dance recital. But then you came back around 4th of July. We were going to Cancun. We had a big family trip
Yes.
planned, and was that the same time?
Yes, it was August.
And so she shows up in time. Like that morning at 5 a.m. to get in the car to ride to the
I'm
airport.
going to Cancun.
I know. We didn't got them passports, so we're going to Cancun. So, and then her senior year was fine. She was great. I mean, like it was almost like she had to kind of get that few months out of her system. And she kind of was dating a boy in her junior year that was kind of, it enabled her to be defiant. And so there was that
He
her
was
junior
the
year.
lead singer of a screamo band.
Wow.
That.
My dad would be like, "This music is not. It's
like-
not good."
So no, senior year was great. Her senior year was
Until it wasn't.
Until it wasn't. Well, I mean, and you were full graduated. I mean, like
Almost.
You found-
I walked this stage pregnant.
yes. Because you found out around the time I found out the night of the senior awards banquet that she had a positive pregnancy test, and so like she'd gotten two scholarships for theater. And that night, like I'm walking on cloud 9, I'm thinking, "Oh my gosh,
free
we did
college."
this! Yeah, we've done this. We made it.
We made
We
it.
got her
Qualify for
graduated." And I
this.
said, "She what?" So, and then within a month, she had miscarried.
Yeah.
And those were hard times because she wanted so bad to be independent and to
Yeah,
be,
yeah.
like I'm graduated, I've spread
Not
my
a month.
wings.
Not a month. 2 months. It was July. It was mid-July. I got pregnant in April. I got pregnant at senior prom. I told you in May. July 10th, I had a miscarriage.
So that when went to the hospital, that when we were at the hospital. Mm-hmm. Okay.
I had to have a DNC, to be clear. This has been speculated about. This was pretty shitty to be speculated about. But I had to have a DNC, complete medical procedure. Do they do fake DNCs on people?
No. And
That's
really,
ridiculous.
it was.
Yeah, the fact that people would even accuse me of faking that is crazy. First of all, I was 18. Like, what did I pay the doctor to do a fake sonogram on me to take? I had an implant on in my arm.
and it was taken out within a few days of your positive pregnancy
Yes.
test. I mean, just like
at
within.
the doctor's
yeah,
office.
yeah.
At the
I mean, just
blood
easy,
test.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Easy.
yeah, they took all that out.
Took that out and
Dad-
proceeded forward.
Whenever I graduated, it was right at graduation. Dad told me, we're not going to play home. in our house. Gave me two
Girl,
options.
you wanted to be just
I wanted to
you
leave.
wanted to be
Yeah,
I mean,
but
just,
he definitely
right said
either do
okay.
this or you got to go. And I said, well, then I'm gonna go.
I'm gonna go.
And we had, I mean, in between that, I'd been kicked out twice prior. I remember
Kicked
chicken
out
spaghetti.
is hard. Those are
Maybe
hard.
not kicked out by you.
Those are hard. Dad
You were not
could have
home.
gotten. No, it's probably work.
Yeah, because I'll never forget it.
You were cooking dinner for me
Cooking
to come
dinner
home.
because mom was coming home and it was going to be her birthday and he wanted me to make chicken spaghetti. And I was like, she doesn't like chicken spaghetti. And keep in mind, this is not the cheesy, delicious, yummy chicken spaghetti. This is just regular spaghetti with chicken instead of ground beef. She don't like it. It's not her thing.
I want a white sauce.
Yeah, and you know who else don't like it? The two little kids. I know that because I'm here every day hanging out with them. My dad worked 2 jobs, not to discredit.
He wanted
was-
chicken spaghetti.
He wanted chicken spaghetti. So I laid out 3 chicken breasts. 1, 2, 3, big people. The little people ain't gonna eat that. And so he was like, there's more people here than that. And I was like, well, we're not gonna, don't argue with me. And that was a big thing. I could not speak without it being arguing. It was always I was arguing. If I had anything to say, yeah. If I had anything to say, I was arguing and I just needed to hush. And at that age, I was just like, bro, listen to
do
me.
this. Yeah.
Like, stop, listen to me. And so we got into it. My sister will still recount this fight as well. Because he had gone to my room and I'd screamed, "You're such a jerk!" And he had walked out of my room and I screamed it as he walked out, and he turned back around and came back in. That was the last time I ever got spanked. I was 17, and Haley was like, "I'll never call him a jerk," and she's still the golden child. She's still the golden child.
Because she learned from
She was
you.
the baby.
She said, I'm never doing that.
She was the
She
baby
did.
for so long.
Yeah,
I mean, she
she's
really is
still
kind of the baby.
Yeah, totally still the
I
baby.
mean, like Paige's siblings, so she's 32. She's got a 24-year-old brother. She has a 22-year-old sister and a 10-year-old brother.
Yeah.
So-
So my 10-year-old brother don't fuck with none of y'all. I want you to know now. If you're mean to me, he FaceTimes me. He's like, "Give me their number. What's their name? You tell me. I'll put them in their place." Is what he told me.
We saw something and you had
I was crying over
and,
it.
Oh, he was so mad.
He was
so
so
mad.
mad.
So
How
mad.
sweet.
He was going on. What was going on? Something else was going on. We were trying to focus on Boston, and Braden was just giving me all
that
the
was just a
business.
few weeks
you,
ago.
You give me their numbers. You tell me where I'm gonna put them
will
right in their
tell them.
place. So my brother doesn't play whenever it comes to big sister, which is I was always kind of nervous that me and him wouldn't have such a close relationship. I've got a really, really close relationship with Britton and Haley, especially Haley. I was 10. No, I was 8.
You were 8 when Britton
I was
born.
8 when Britton was born and 10 with Haley. So I was old enough to know and be excited and
Yeah.
helped enough to
Yeah.
be like really, really bonded to them, especially Haley. And then I was out of the house. I was 21 whenever she had
Yeah.
Braden. So I was like, oh no, is he going to love me as much as these do? And he does. Of
course he
still
does.
He still does.
He does.
He probably loves Haley a little bit more. But
They
that's
were there.
their bond.
They were
there longer together.
Because
Yeah.
really, his recall of Britton even living there is minimal. So he would have,
Yeah.
Britton moved out in 2018, he would have been 5. And he, like that 0 to 5, he didn't have a whole bunch of memories from. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's very vague of him even remembering Britton living with us.
Yeah. And now we're all in different places.
Yeah.
All of us in different spots now. But it was interesting. So whenever I was 18, that's whenever I became pregnant, I was told pretty flat out by my dad, like, if you're going to play house, it's not going to be in my house. Because I think I'd been gifted a bassinet. And so I'd put it in my room. I was like, okay, well, here's this. And he was like, we're not doing this. I was like, well, I don't have any choice. Like, I have to figure this out for myself. So I left that day and then got myself, I had an income-based apartment. Got a car payment that was just, man, they got me for that car payment.
They did.
Man,
What they call it, low jack. So she'd make her payment, and then they would make it run for another month, and then make your payment.
yeah.
And, I guess some sort of.
Could be they shut your shit off.
Uh-huh.
You didn't pay it, my car wouldn't work. So you ain't getting to school. And then I was working 2 jobs. And I can remember thinking, I'm broken. Like, I can't make babies. I can't. My mom doesn't love me. I can't. My dad and me fight all the time. Like, I'm not meant for this. And I'm going to throw a trigger warning here for you guys, but that was the very first time I'd ever attempted to. A really good friend of mine found me, and they had made me sign papers at like a like an inpatient place. They like held me, transported me there from the hospital, transported me there, made me sign papers that I wouldn't harm myself so that I could leave. And I made them not tell my parents because I was 18. So I don't know that you even knew about it until it was passed.
Oh, wow.
I wasn't
then-
part of it as
Yeah.
it was happening.
Yeah.
And then the next week I joined the Army.
That's it. She came and said, guess what I'm going to do? Well, and then I thought to myself, you know what? They're going to take her for 4 years. They're going to feed her, clothe her, house her.
Yep.
Teacher.
And she's going to come back. She's going to be a little older, and she's going to have some things figured out. And
Yeah.
it's going to give her time. You know what? I picked up, and you're going to have the GI Bill. That might not be a bad deal.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Like, so,
If
and
you're
then-
lost, that's a quick way to find
That's
it.
right,
Find
right.
something to
and
do.
it was all her.
It was so fast too. It happened so quick. I mean, like I went to MEPS and 3 weeks later I swore in, and 2 weeks later I was gone.
Yeah, it was.
Basic training.
It was. I mean, like all of a sudden it had happened. I mean, like it wasn't like a pre-conversation. She
was
it out
going.
and-
If I had told my dad, he'd have said no.
Yeah.
He'd have been like, absolutely not.
I don't know.
He told me I was stupid whenever
Well,
I
I'm
told
sure
him.
because he thinks that only men or something. But like, I mean, like, like
She done
Keep
everything
in
your
mind,
dad.
I was
the
in
opposite.
dance my whole life. I was in drill team and theater, and I came home and I was like, I signed 5 years active as a military police officer. My dad was like,
what? Do something big. What did he tell you about the underwater welding?
Oh, yeah.
Go for it. Go for it.
Go ahead.
Do something cool.
Oh, my goodness. That's hilarious.
did that, left for basic training, got injured, came home for a 30-day con leave. I don't know that I spent a whole lot of time home with y'all. I think I spent a lot of my time with Molly because at that point I was dating a girl. And
Who's Molly?
A really good friend of mine.
Okay.
High school friend of mine.
This would have been summertime.
Yeah.
You went to Houston.
You
didn't really come
That
home.
was some quick years, girl.
No, that was 30 days I had to spend at home.
She went to the whole
And
military.
then I did go to Houston. Yeah. Later, August, I did go to Houston.
Yeah, because we
Straight
didn't
there.
really see you in that time frame. From the time,
'Cause then you
like,
got-
in my mind,
think where you
you
were.
were discharged. Your friend was discharged at the same time, and together y'all went to Houston. That's how
A
it
month
happened
apart.
In my mind.
A month apart. She left before me, but we was already in love. I was going to her.
This was your first female
Marriage.
relationship?
Yeah, in marriage.
In marriage, right. You got married.
Subsequent, yeah.
Yeah. Left.
You did a lot in a couple years, Paige.
Girl, I was
Oh, my
crazy.
goodness.
I was crazy. And keep in mind, in this time, oh my God, I'll never forget this photo. In this time of whenever I was like, I didn't do anything like crazy. I wasn't doing drugs or anything. That's the first time I was ever a dancer. Whenever I
Oh,
decided
yes.
to take on the adult industry. And 18, so young, not experienced whatsoever. Didn't, just a horrible idea for me. Horrible.
She needed some money.
My mom, I had like a storage unit. There's a picture of my sister in a pair of my stripper heels.
What are you doing? You're like, I'm just going to support her.
was
Mike,
like,
those
oh
are cute. Haley's like, I want these.
oh, my God.
And then they somehow disappeared, and Haley was mad at me for years about her. You
Pink
threw those. You
shoes?
got rid of those shoes, didn't you? No,
No.
I did not.
Should have kept them.
That would be hilarious if she
some
pulls them out now. They're up in storage.
They're so bad. It
Our
was,
house is
listen,
good at
just because you turn 18 doesn't mean you should be able to make decisions by
No.
yourself. And I fully believe you are not a grown up until you are 25. There's a reason you can't rent a car until you're 25. Frontal lobe shit. I mean, I was just, and I had so much trauma. I
Yeah.
genuinely would get out of class because I had anxiety. Didn't really know what anxiety was at that age, but I would get out of class. I was pretty constantly depressed as a kid, and looking for something to make me happy. Feeling, especially with relationships.
The way I think about it, you just wanted to be loved.
Yeah.
You just, that element that she could have provided or solved or fixed or brought to the table was just that. You why can't you love me?
Anybody. And it led me to a lot of really terrible
Right.
relationships and friendships because I was so afraid of the abandonment part of it that I would just accept that as love because it was enough for me because at least it was something. Now I don't put up with shit, but that took a lot. It took a lot of really, really bad times.
To know your worth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Took a lot of really hard times. I don't think you and I grew close again until I was probably around 21, 22.
You had to find yourself. And she was also raising little kids.
Yeah, she
At
had
that
little.
time.
Oh, for
too.
sure, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't. I was always one phone call away from you.
Yes, and would always answer.
Yeah.
And we talked much more than me and my dad did, for sure. But in that time, I'd grown closer to my biological mom
Right.
because she's an ally. I've mentioned before, like whenever I was younger, I was really raised by drag queens the majority of the time. So I knew whenever I started dating a girl, she was not going to judge me and nobody was going to think anything about it. My dad was raised very differently. He has a different opinion about it. It caused a lot of turmoil between the two of us. My mom's an ally, to be clear. But it did still make things hard.
Well, yeah, she was married to him, and it made it feel a little heavy when you were there. Yeah.
And he was my dad.
Yeah.
How much can she say whenever he
And you got to think too, I'd gotten pregnant.
Yeah.
I got pregnant in 2012, so just about the same time. Like
Yeah.
I had this like surprise pregnancy, like
and it was like
The
4.5
bonus baby.
months pregnant.
yeah.
Yeah.
By the time she found out. Didn't even know until she was like, I'm pregnant and due in June and it's a boy.
That's why.
What? My 21st birthday. I'll never forget. 21st birthday. And my mom was crying. I was like, she loves me. Oh my God. Like, she's so sentimental. She's like, I'm pregnant. I'm 4.5 months
Aw.
pregnant.
So
and
you
it's
were
a
going
boy.
through a lot of life changes, and so were you.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure.
Like
And
that-
still young at the
Yeah,
same time.
'cause-
She was 21 when she found me, still a baby. We really kind of grew up together.
Yeah.
And it's funny, I can remember you saying to me, like, if I tried to get away with anything, her being like, I wasn't, 16 that long ago. And now I say it to Vince. And I'm like, you're not that slick, boy. And I could just be like, oh, I'm my mother. Literally.
I've heard this before somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere along the lines. But yeah,
Yeah.
I was rebelled, not really towards Julie, but big time to my dad.
But she was attached to dad.
Which she was
so,
attached
yeah.
to dad. So it caused a lot of lonely years in that time. But honestly, there's our puppy. Honestly, I probably needed it
Yeah.
just because I wasn't going to take their advice
Right.
for shit. I mean, they could tell me something and I'd be like, that's wrong.
Yeah.
Just
You
simply
needed
because I
to.
was so tired of being
Yeah.
told what to do. And I also had on my big girl britches, sonograms alone, pregnancy
Yeah.
tests, like all those things, they make you feel really freaking grown.
Yeah.
Even if I was still a child and I didn't even fully realize like you're about to be responsible for another human. I thought I was. So nobody could tell me anything. And I'm pretty stubborn as it is. Look at your mama. I'm pretty stubborn as it is.
Yeah.
So the fact that anybody argued with me whatsoever, I would just shun you. I would
Yeah.
just turn, I wouldn't answer the phone. I wouldn't call. I wouldn't do it. I would just turn you off.
Yeah.
And
Then
was
Braden
not-
came.
And then Braden came.
And Braden came in June, and 3 weeks later, Haley had dance competition in Galveston, and her,
I lived in Houston.
her and
My ex-wife.
okay, that's what we say. Okay, I can not her name.
You can say it. It's not taboo.
She's known.
That's not
Yeah.
okay. So her and Amanda, and they came over, and
My friend
you guys-
Courtney.
Courtney, yeah, they came to at Galveston, so she got to meet her little brother, like right
He
off
was
the
so
bat. I mean, and so and there was always. I was just happy that you're healthy and safe and okay, and seeing you in person because at that point it'd been
3 years.
maybe a good solid year or two.
Aw, so that was probably so cool. See Paige again.
And FaceTime wasn't a thing then.
No.
Like, we didn't FaceTime a lot. It was like it was there, but it wasn't common. Like now you pick up FaceTime 2-3 times a week. and,
Right.
hello, how are you? I see your face.
Yeah.
It wasn't a thing then.
Yeah.
This was, it was starting to be.
Yeah.
But it certainly wasn't, especially for me, it wasn't a main
Right.
way of contact.
right.
Also, I'd just turned 21. I was hanging out at the lesbian bars and getting drunk. I was not calling my mom.
Yeah.
I was having a good old time. And so
But you could always go back, and that was probably a good reunion.
my grandma got sick. My grandma got really, really sick and called me in December of 2013. I was also really down. Grandma was sick.
She found out she had cancer that fall. Paige and Amanda came to Denison to, we had family pictures made, and I wanted her in them. And it was still even a weird time I don't know that John had wrapped his head around Amanda yet. And so, it was still just a real early part of the
He
process.
really thought it was a phase. Like
I
he
thought
really would
he
chalk
really
it up
thought
to
she was just trying to piss him off.
yes.
Oh, she's just trying to make me
It's
mad.
not make me mad.
Paige's like,
You
I'm
don't
gonna-
do that.
I'm
for
going to
a
one up
phase.
you. And
I'm gonna marry her.
I won't marry her. We're going to New Mexico, right?
And we did. And we did drive all the way to New Mexico that summer because I wanted my grandma to be there
Yeah.
for my wedding.
A 14.
Yes, 14.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we moved into the trailer with my grandma and started to
10
take
years
care of
ago.
her. Yeah. Yeah.
That's wild to
That's
hear that.
wild. That's
10 years
10
ago.
years ago. Well, this
crazy.
summer will be 10. That's
Yeah,
this
yeah.
summer.
Summer be 10.
So y'all kind of grew up together too.
It's not, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because I would say to say she was immature I don't know that you were mature in a lot of ways probably that I wasn't at 21.
I'd been exposed to a lot
yeah.
of adult shit,
Yeah.
but my
21.
reactions were very immature. I wanted to get the attention. I didn't care if it was good or bad.
Right.
So,
Right. And I think that's true too. You just, again, somebody loved me.
Yeah.
And
I wasn't a bad kid though.
No,
I never
no.
snuck out. Ever. I was
she
too afraid of
wasn't
my dad.
partying, she wasn't drinking, she wasn't doing drugs. I mean, like, no.
Yeah.
It was really just the,
Attention.
Yeah.
I mean, just
Big dramatic attention.
trying to fill the void that I feel like that her biological mom had
Yeah.
left.
And that lasted forever.
Yeah. I mean, and it probably will always be.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I've accepted that. Is that it'll never.
Be what you want it to, and
Yes.
what you're giving your kids.
Yes. And that
And I
is
hope
whenever
I
it got hard
modeled
again.
that.
Yeah, of
This
course.
is
Of course. You do a great job.
this
Yes.
is a good mom.
Yeah, you do a great
That's
job.
fine.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Yes.
I think
Well, you
I
know
could've
the
figured
difference
that out.
now.
Yeah, definitely. And it did, like I say that I grew close to my biological mom in that time. And I worked damn hard to be close with her and to give her a fair chance. And then I had Boston. And then all of a sudden everything changed. And
Yeah.
I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
And Julie would say to me, whenever we were younger, she would always say, you know, I knew that what she had done was wrong. I knew that her being gone was wrong, but I didn't realize how wrong until I had Britain.
Uh-huh.
And I felt the same way until I had Boston. I didn't
Yeah.
really realize.
I knew I did.
Yeah.
I knew that what she was doing to Paige was wrong, and I mean, like, duh.
Yeah.
But to say like,
To have those feelings as a mother.
yes, and
How
then I
could
would look
you?
at
Like,
the 2-year-old version of Britain, or
Yes.
the 3 or the 4, and 4-year-olds
Yes.
are just going to walk away.
How
and
can you
never
do that?
Boston.
Yeah.
Literally,
Just
that's
walk-
Boston
Drop
right
them
now.
off. Like, hey,
Just
this
drop
is
'em
too
off.
much for me.
No.
You know?
How could you is
And to
really
never
what
even
comes to
call.
mind. Yes.
To never even call or do anything.
And yeah,
Mind blowing.
but we got through it.
Yeah. We get the comment a lot that like, oh, I have a Julie, because people know you as the Julie. And I find that really kind because hopefully there's women who don't have mothers that will find a Julie who will stick by them forever and treat them the way they deserve to be treated. Because sometimes your mom is not going to be there. Your dad's not going to be there. And if somebody else is going to be there, then sometimes that's all you're going to get. And that's heartbreaking. That's heartbreaking that that's all that you're going to get. But like, you have been amazing for Paige. And I hope that there's other women like that.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
We meet them, and
Like, I know I try to be with all of my foster
Sure,
children.
you're kind of
yeah.
filling
in between.
that void.
Yeah. And you're never going to fill it completely, but you're surely going to fucking try.
Right.
And you're
Give
going to give
all the
her
love, all the energy.
Exactly.
I think as an adult, from an adult's perspective now, knowing every part as I piece together for myself, because also there were other people around. So
Yeah.
I can ask my aunt, I can ask,
Yeah.
my Aunt Phyllis, there's so many people
right.
that were there
Yeah.
and they know. And I think that as a kid, as a teenager, I would say like, well, she's never going to be my mom, and it
Yeah.
would be that way.
Yeah.
But now it's completely the opposite. And it's
because
like,
she grew up with grandparents and aunts and uncles and cousins that never. I mean, really, they never even knew
Yeah.
that.
not biologically
no.
Yeah.
mine.
Right.
Because Julie had a huge family. Me and
Yeah.
my dad were just me and my dad.
And they all
then-
accepted Paige. They're
Oh,
yeah,
for
this,
sure.
This is our
Yeah.
grandbaby.
Yep.
This is our niece. Heck
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't know. Even today,
I love that.
I think that whenever it comes to a child's development, literally all you can do is love them.
Yeah.
Like,
And the more the people, the better.
and you can't change
Absolutely.
the pain.
No.
You can't. Even being the best mom, the best, provider,
Yeah.
dance, constantly supportive, there for me, like even offering the very best love and care, there's going to be trauma there.
Yeah.
And it's not your fault at
Yeah.
all.
Right.
But it's
To
there.
own it. I
Yeah.
mean, like, sometimes I feel like I overcompensated to try to fill that void. Like maybe, like spending money or doing this or that. So probably when I didn't have it, but I wanted to make sure that she knew that she deserved it, or she.
Because you were a good mama, though. I feel like we all do that.
Yeah.
We want you to know how important you
Yes.
are.
Like I get little
You deserve
Valentine's Day
this.
baskets because she would get little
Yeah.
Valentine's Day baskets.
I
And
want
can
you to
remember being
feel
like,
that
oh,
love.
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
Valentine's Day.
yeah.
So,
And she was the original. And that's what I always tell her. I mean, like
OG.
The OG. I say,
Yes.
I've loved you the longest.
Yes.
when me and my siblings argue about who's the favorite, I'm like, who did you love longer? I'm sorry.
You were
and,
first.
and probably had it have just been John, I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
But I was compelled. I mean, as soon as I knew I'd never leave her.
Yeah.
I knew that that's where I was supposed to be, and
Yeah.
probably I was going to fix John. John was young, and you always think like when you marry, like, oh, we'll work on that.
And he
Or,
was
like,
young.
He was
He was
young.
22.
No. He's 5 years older than me, so he was 26.
Okay.
He's 5 years older
He's
than
5
you?
years older than me. Yep.
Still young for a man.
Yes.
Yeah, he
still
was
young.
22 whenever he had me.
Yeah.
That's right. And I was 4.
So we should probably bring Jay in. We've been
Yeah,
talking for
I think
about
we
an
should
hour.
bring Jay
Let's bring
in.
Jay in, and then we'll wrap her up.
Come on, Jay.
All right, guys. Welcome back, Jay. To Daddy Jay's Corner.
Something I have to ask y'all before we get into this. Do you think me and my mom look alike?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
My whole life, I've been told that I look more like her than her own
But
biological
as
children.
adoptive parents,
I was
we
about to
literally
say
know. We get that a lot because, like, I swear, when you grow up with somebody, you get their they're like mannerisms, and you take on different things. So for sure,
Even the doctor that delivered me
Oh, yeah.
for years thought that I was Julie's,
yeah,
but
it is
didn't
wild.
deliver me out of
Yeah,
Julie.
dude.
I love it. So Jay's here.
Jay's gonna
from-
make my mom cry. I can already tell by the way he's looking.
All right,
at
Jay,
me.
what you got for us today?
Alrighty. One, I just think you're so amazing. Just after listening to everything, I was like, I'm gonna cry. I was like
know.
trying not to cry over there, and I
They
kept
all
turning.
cry.
Yeah,
We can
Could
cry.
be.
because it was just amazing. It was amazing to hear.
Yes.
And yeah.
Crazy
So,
story when you
thank
think
you for
back
sharing.
about it.
Yeah.
It doesn't
I
feel as
was blessed.
traumatizing.
Aw,
I won.
aw,
Same,
I love that.
big same.
I mean, I was going through
Could you
some
imagine?
rough. No, girl,
Some
can you
dad's
imagine
other
this? I know
girlfriends?
what could have happened.
Y'all
I
found
mean,
each other for the right reason.
At the right time.
Yes.
At the right time.
Ooh, Jay has a picture frame.
Okay, so I have
I don't
a
know
little
though
picture
that she's
here.
ever seen me this age. She didn't know me this age.
And so, if you've never seen RuPaul's Drag Race, RuPaul always does this where he gets a picture and he shows it to them.
Look at baby me.
Look
Uh-huh.
it, guys.
You sent me. I've seen this picture.
Yes, I just recently sent this.
Paige had never had a picture printed out like this, you guys. This is our first time ever having a picture printed like this.
I have pictures from the time I was
Yes.
4.
Oh,
honest,
absolutely, 'cause
But I
we
don't
had-
have any before.
Look
we
at
had-
little one.
But it's just Juliet's same little head.
Yes.
No hair on it.
Literally. Is that Juliet?
And my
The
doctor,
pictures.
when I complained about, like, I just don't know, like, is her head too small? My doctor was like, let me see a baby picture of you. I
Yeah.
was like, oh, actually, I have
It's
one.
that
She was
head
like,
right
you
there.
have the
It's
same
just because it
head.
don't have no hair on it. Once it gets some hair on it,
It'll look normal.
And it grows from the back to the front, too. Just
the
like
early
hers.
pictures that I have of you were of you and your dad camping, and you were probably, this maybe 3, and y'all are having like hot dogs, and you're camping, and you're swimming, and those were the early pictures. No baby pictures.
Yeah.
But as soon as I got my hands on her, we hair
All
bows
the
and
pictures.
pictures. Yeah, we
That's
go to
right.
Sears and get the whole package.
So cute.
So
That
when Paige
photo.
sent us this picture, literally it's like her baby. I was like, I asked a picture of you, not of your daughter. But it's interesting when I hear you say like the pictures and stuff, because as an adoptive parent, I think to myself, like, so obviously like Grayson was 3 years old when he came to our home. And so obviously I have pictures when he was 3, but when we were in the process of everything, I did get some pictures from
good.
his dad and from his mom as a baby. And so I have those in my phone. And I just have them in there. So one of these days, I know that he's going to say, like,
Yeah.
hey, do you have any baby pictures? I'm like, well, actually, I do.
Yeah.
Right? And then kind of talk about that. But it's so every time I go through I have like different albums. So I have one for each kid. And I look at the picture and, it's just,
And you do need them. Like, they'll want them for prom
Yeah, they will,
and, like,
for sure.
graduation. And it was always weird to be like, I have one of me whenever I'm 5, but I don't have the
We
picture
went
you
and
want.
John and Paige and I went and did family pictures for the first Christmas that when Paige was 4. We did family pictures. We weren't married. We were just dating. We were just living together. But we needed a picture. We needed a family. We were a family.
Yeah.
And so we went and
I looked just like Matilda as a kid. Literally.
as
Bob,
and she loved that show.
Bob haircut and
Halloween.
everything. I would.
So cute.
I think that the other thing that I thought was interesting is, or not interesting, but powerful, is that you said that you just called her your daughter. Like, it wasn't like step or anything like that. So it's interesting because my dad is technically not my sister and my brother's biological father. And so one of the things that my dad used to do every time he would go in to explain about my sister and my brother, he would explain the whole story. well, they're like my children.
Yeah.
But they're not. They're my stepchildren, but I treat them as my children. And that was always a big thing for my mom. Or if, my brother and my sister used to say that when we were younger, like, why do you have to say something
Separate.
like
You don't
that?
need
You should
to,
just
yeah.
say, this is my daughter.
This is my daughter.
And
I
so I
didn't-
thought that was powerful. That's what it reminded me of.
I never wanted her to think that this is my daughter.
Separating.
She doesn't have a mom. I'm her mom.
Yeah.
I didn't want her
'Cause
to
that's what
think
you
that I was
had to
discounting
say.
her. And really, so we really didn't say anything. Like once John and I were married, we all had the same last name. It were years went by that people, they were like, wait. So, what?
Because I think from 7 to 17 or 16, not at all. Wasn't there at all.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No.
There was like a good 10-year gap where every random 3 months, every 6 months, every random thing, it stopped completely. And it was like, okay.
I think she bounced back in fourth grade because I remember when Britton was a baby and like she had showed up because you would have behavior problems. Like you could document like she would have a great week at school and then I would have a rough week at school. So she'd have a great week and then she would have a rough week. And really just kind of took her 2-3 days to kind of get that chaos out of
I
her
get it.
head.
Yeah.
And so then she would have, get a good week. Well then, and so that went on for maybe a couple of months. And again, she was really sporadic. And so that was probably the last time she popped back in until she showed back up. As when she was a teenager.
I think it's interesting because I feel like we deal with that as foster parents
Yeah,
when we go
absolutely.
and take the kids to their visits.
Yeah.
That their behavior or like their emotions are so high, and then a couple of days after, you kind of see that.
You can see it.
And then it's interesting because you said that you never knew it was gonna they were gonna come visit or anything. And so us, even when we were going to visits, we never said, "Hey, we're gonna go see your parents."
No,
because
you
there
never
was a
know.
chance that they were never gonna show up, and then all of a sudden we're like, how do we do this? I felt bad.
Right.
And it felt bad because we'd be sitting there and they know the office and then you'd be like, oh, they didn't show up. And you're like, why
Yeah.
are we leaving? Where's my parents?
Yeah.
And it's like, so you feel heartbroken.
And they would be like mad at you. Like
Yes.
almost sometimes you would have to feel like you
that
had to cover it
displaced
up.
anger.
Yeah,
They got to be
it's
mad at somebody.
Yeah, like at the
Yes.
situation and they're going to take it out at the adult who's in
Yeah.
the car. And so that's very painful.
Yes.
So I just love y'all's story. Thank you for sharing.
And the when Paige was 5, we had moved. We were in an apartment and we got a little house in Pottsboro. And then my dad remarried, and so we had the opportunity to move into my childhood home where I had grown up. I mean, Paige went to the elementary school that I attended. Her brothers and sisters went to the elementary school. They've all my niece. I mean, we moved back home, and that's where it's where I still live to this day. I still live in that house. But so to say, I couldn't find y'all, well, that's foolish because
We've been there.
We've been in the same. I've had the same phone number for 30. I mean, I don't know how long, but
Yeah.
a long time.
Yeah.
Stop. I mean,
Yeah.
please
We
don't
had
make
cell phones and a house phone back
and
then.
Yeah.
Paige had her own.
I had my own
line.
house phone.
Yeah.
Because you had to have a
So
phone.
the excuse
a line.
of I couldn't find you is
No.
not there. The excuse if you were too far was not there. Like you kept her, that's not true. So
Yeah, and then again, I think just her being the victim and not,
yeah, absolutely.
not taking ownership.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just say I'm sorry.
And I don't want to be the victim.
No.
Like, I don't want to feel it.
Right.
I wish that I could turn it off, but I can't get through it if it's going to constantly be a comparison game and there's no accountability. I can't get through it because I was the child.
Yeah.
I'm an adult now, yes, and I'm saying it out loud as an adult now, but that's because as a child, I didn't know how to relay what I was feeling. I was just going through
Yep.
it. So now there's anger as well as knowledge behind it, and it's like, no, you can't lie to me anymore. You
Yeah.
can't pull the wool over my eyes anymore. You can't make me believe that that's possible because I'm an adult and I know
Yeah.
you're full of shit.
Yeah.
There's just no way. So it does change eventually. Eventually, that confused kid turns into an educated adult.
That's right.
And then,
and you had become a parent.
and I'd become a parent. And I was like, no way.
That's what I always think to tell people, like that child that you're doing these things to is going to turn into an adult.
Yeah.
And you're going to wonder why they don't have a relationship with you, but they're going to remember what their childhood was.
Yeah.
What you said.
And you
what
can't do nothing
did.
about it once they're an adult. You can't.
And you can't bond the way that a child bonds to somebody as an adult. You just
Yeah.
can't, because there's just that level of comfort is just not the same.
Right.
There is something maternal there that feels like, okay, I have my mom and I'm better. I'm okay. And then there's something very invasive in the other place. That's like, I don't like to be touched or hugged. A lot of
Yeah.
people know that it's not a thing for me. I don't like to be coddled unless I really, really love you. Unless I really love you. So like to be like pet
Yeah, you're like, no, thank
It's
you.
okay, honey. It's okay. Like, I want to come out of my skin. Please stop touching me. Oh my God. But I also can't look at you and say, please stop touching me.
Yeah.
Because then you're the victim.
Yeah.
And it's not because I'm uncomfortable. It's because I wouldn't let you pet me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a double-edged sword all the time.
So you have questions for us, Jay?
I have
we don't know what they are.
questions for these.
Yeah, I don't
we
even
do
know what it
not
is.
know.
Okay.
So not really a question, but I know Paige, you've gone through a lot. So as you look at this beautiful
sweet
little
baby.
girl, if you could go back and tell her something, what would you say?
It's not your fault. Mm-hmm. It's totally not your fault. There's nothing missing in you. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing. It was never something wrong with you. Yeah, I didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
I wasn't so unlovable. That was the thing. I'd be like, was I a bad baby? Was I too loud? Did I cry too much? Was I too anything? And then spent years as a teenager thinking I was too much this. I was too loud. I was too outgoing. I was too
the why.
for everybody.
Yeah.
And so
I love that.
yeah, it's just not
You
your
didn't
fault,
deserve
kid.
that.
You know, and you're gonna be fine. Yeah. Jay just wants to cry. Jay's looking at me like,
I'm trying to hold it in.
Jay's like, let it out, let it out.
No, I'm trying to hold it in. I'm like,
Ben's gonna start crying. By
No, me and Ben already talked about this.
yes.
We're crying inside.
I think it's amazing, and I think that just getting to know you and everything that you've gone through just makes you a better mom because you're learning. You're taking what you loved from your childhood and you're applying it. You're like, what did I like? What did I not like? And what do I need to avoid? And what do I need to keep?
Yeah.
And I think that's just so powerful.
too.
I'm so proud of you.
It's like the only thing I want to be in life is
Yeah.
a good mom. And I constantly ask my teenager, especially, I'd be like, am I traumatizing you?
No.
Are you okay? He'd be like, no, Paige, we're cool.
I'm so proud of the mom that you are.
Yes.
Based on how like your childhood went, and you've had a great mother now, and so like I'm just so proud of you because man, childhood trauma stays forever,
Yeah.
forever, and it can arise at any moment of your. Now that you have children, you can see yourself in them, and it's like more heartbreaking. So I'm very proud of you. You know
Yes,
that.
Thank you. I take compliments so well.
Yeah, she does, guys.
Let me
She
pet
knows
you.
I'm proud of her. She knows. I'll hug her later.
Okay. So my question to you is, what are you most proud of, Paige?
I'm proud of Paige. What am I most proud of Paige? She's a survivor.
Aw,
Oh,
She is a great mom. She is a great friend. She's a defender. She will go toe to toe with anybody that's trying to.
we know.
That's trying to. She's a protector. She's a lover. She's a giver. And she's a survivor.
She is
to a
all
fault,
this.
yes.
Yeah.
Because you had to survive
Yeah.
what happened, and when in my mind, like we were doing all the things that I thought, yes, I couldn't give her what she needed, but like we did the vacations, we did the holidays, we do the this or she went to summer camp, she took this class
Yeah.
or she was a cheerleader, like I
from the
felt like-
outside looking in,
Yeah, you did
I
all
had
the
it
things.
good.
Yeah, you did all the things.
But there was one thing that I couldn't give her. We said something about like not calling her like Paige's Julie. In my mind, as my dad remarried, I never wanted to call her my stepmom because of Cinderella. It's such a
Yeah.
negative connotation
Yeah.
from that story, the stepsisters and stepmothers that I never. And so I had to learn to say my dad's wife because it was hard for me to ever come to saying my mom
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
You were
But-
also grown.
I was
she
also
didn't
grown.
really mother you
she
in
didn't,
that
so
sense.
it's my dad's wife. But I don't call her my stepmom.
Yeah.
And so like I never would have said stepdaughter or nothing.
And I never really called her my stepmom. I would just say, it's just Julie.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And if they were just generic people, I mean, this is my mom.
Yes.
I
Right.
mean, like
exactly.
really, you don't need to know our details.
Yeah.
I mean, this is my mom.
Right.
no, I'd have told you. If you
Yeah,
asked
she
me, I'd have told you. I'm like, oh yeah, she just doesn't want me.
No way. You're
No.
one.
I
At that
would have
age-
very nonchalantly.
Well, you're
been like,
so wanted
It's
now.
fine. She didn't want me, and I'm okay. I'm doing fine now. And people will be like, oh, you poor traumatized child.
The page that came, the page that grew from your divorce, that page is who you are. That girl that went to college, that was independent, that had her own apartment. That's the girl you always wanted to be. That you want, and you were walking tall and big, and I mean that girl. I mean that little girl I'm always proud of. But when you kind of emerged from that, it was like you were brand new. And then you met Mark.
And then I met Mark. I was a badass back then. I had my own place. I had an expensive apartment, a very nice one.
But you did it.
I would go to
That was
Buckle.
important. Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, I was that girl. I was like, you can't tell me shit. And then I started dating a doctor. I was like, oh my god, this is
You
the
were
life.
probably like, what the hell?
No, I was like, holy shit, I've turned my life around.
For the Lord.
Oh, I really came from the
From the
below.
bottom. No, literally, I will tell y'all, this is very funny. Our garage key, this is so stupid. We had 2 doors to our garage, right? And I would say, started from the bottom, now we're here. Because there was the top one that would open the door. And so I would say it, because I was like, yeah, you did, girl. Yes, you did.
Aw.
So you have to overcome little things like that. And thankfully,
To make you who you are today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those bumps in the road.
Absolutely.
thankfully they were always there.
Yeah.
It was never like,
Yeah.
I couldn't call them. I wouldn't. There was definitely that. There was a stubbornness of like, I wouldn't. And I still wouldn't to my dad. But
No, yeah, but-
definitely would her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We talk a lot, and we FaceTime a lot.
Yeah.
We talk a lot.
Especially now that I'm a mom. My mom's an RN. So I'll be like, hey, you see this bump on the side of my face? Is she okay?
She'll see me scratch.
Can I get your number too? I need a nurse on my line.
Nurse on call.
Seriously.
I mean, I'll call and be like, the fever is 102. I've administered Tylenol.
Did you call her about your?
Yeah, you ripped out of your body.
My ID.
Nope, saw
She
that on
called-
social media.
I called her. Like, what are you doing? I'm
I
ripping
did
it out.
it on
I
the
was like,
phone
with
with
me.
Cindy.
I said, no, you're not supposed to do that. I'm
I
going to do
said,
it.
I can feel it. She was like, can you really? I was like, yeah.
I really did. I said, okay. She's like, oh, it's out. It's out.
I was like, it's out. She was like,
Yeah.
you're so freaking crazy.
crazy. Anyways, I'm proud of both of you guys.
Yes.
Proud of you for stepping up to be a mom, and Wendy didn't have a baby, and Paige made it a long way.
I survived.
She survived it all.
Surviving. You're
did.
still surviving.
That's right. Still surviving.
Thriving.
Thriving and thriving.
Well, thank you.
It's thanks to my mom for sure.
Yeah.
Thanks for being there,
I love you so much.
loving me despite all my craziness.
I love you so much.
Don't start crying, please.
I love it. I'm so glad you
Happy
came
Mother's Day.
on. I
Yes,
know.
thank
Happy Mother's
you.
Day. Thank you
for
for
being my
coming
mom.
on.
I love you.
I'm so proud of you and all. Yes, all the
cool?
stuff you
She's
do,
like,
like
cool.
everything you do. Yes,
I'm so glad you came. This was awesome.
I love you.
I love you too.
All right, guys. Well, that was great. Julie, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having
We
me.
couldn't think of a better way, right, than to have mamas here.
Yeah, needed my mom on
I
Mother's
loved
Day.
hearing all of that, honestly. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
It's
Someone out there needed
It's
to
a
hear
journey.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a journey, but it was a good one, nevertheless.
It was.
So.
As always, you guys, keep the giggles going.
And the love
And
flowing.
until next time,
Mom knows best.
or at least she's trying her best.
that's
Yes,
right.
Mom.
Bye, guys.